Hi guys, SafetyBeard here, finally bringing you my GPU video. First off, I'd just like to say I'm sorry for how long it's taken me to actually get around to making this video. I ran into a few issues with my recording gear, namely the microphone. Basically it crapped out and I had to buy a new one. So I had a look at my bank account and I was like, oh my god! So I basically had to wait till payday to go and buy a new microphone. So I've got a new microphone and on with the show. Now the GPU that I've decided to go with for my build is the nVIDIA RTX 2080 Ti. Now I've gone for the ASUS ROG STRIX version of it. This particular one comes in 3 different flavors. There's the standard, the advanced, and then of course the overclocked edition, which is the one that I went with. Now the main difference between the 3 editions is the GPU clock speed. Of course they've all got the same base clock, which is 1350 megahertz. The difference is in the boost clock. With the standard you've got 1560 megahertz, with the advanced edition you've got 1590 megahertz, and with the overclocked edition you're looking at 1665. And as I've said before, the bigger the better. Now the memory clock on this thing is single rate is 1750 megahertz, which works out to be an effective of 14,000 megahertz or 14 gigabits per second. Now I just want to talk about the power consumption in this thing. Now there's a bit of misconception out there. People think that it's going to draw 650 watts. It's not going to. 650 watts is actually the manufacturer recommended power supply that you have in your system if you're going to run one of these. Of course, if you're going to SLI and have 2 or 3 of these, you'll need a bigger power supply. That's obvious. Now when they recommend that power supply, they just take into account a standard setup and take into account how much power the rest of the system might draw. So it's just a recommendation. Of course, you can go for something bigger, but don't freak out and think that, oh no, I'm not going to have enough power if I have a 1000 watt power supply. You'll have plenty of power, so don't worry about that. I just want to talk about the physical size of this thing. It's actually quite big. We're looking at 305 millimeters long by 131 millimeters high and 55 millimeters wide, and it's also a 2.7 slot card according to the manufacturer. Now that's pretty big, almost as big as me. Hey. Now let's get this chica caliente unboxed. Alright guys, so I'm not going to pretend that I haven't opened this before. In fact, the first thing I did when this arrived was take it out of the box and dance around the room with it and, singing shit like, I'm gonna make love to you, woman. Okay, let's open it up and have a look. Okay, so inside we have this little thing. That has the driver and utility software and whatnot. And we have the little booklet, which is pretty cool. I like this little cutout thing on the front cover. I don't know if you can see that. See how that's actually cut out? So the page isn't quite square. Anyway, probably won't even read that. Get that out of here. And under the phone we have 2 bits. One bit is some cable ties. This is a Velcro cable tie, which has a Republic of Gamers logo on it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, my lighting setup's pretty crap. You probably can't even see that. But trust me when I say it looks pretty cool. Okay, and then we have the card. I'll just get the box out of the way. Now, as I was saying, it is quite a hefty card. It's got quite a bit of weight to it. One of the main reasons is because it's got, this frame here is actually metal. Same on the other side there. That plus the backplate being reinforced is supposed to help with GPU sag, but we'll see over time. Okay, and in terms of lighting, of course, it's got ASUS Aura Sync. Now, the one thing with this card is it's actually got a little on-off button just there. See that? There you go. That little thing there is an on-off button. It just says LED on-off. What you can do is you can turn all the lights off on it. Now in terms of power connectors, this card has 2 8-pin PCIe connectors. Now if you are going to get this card, what I would suggest is run 2 separate cables for each one of these connectors here. That way you'll have them on 2 separate rails. Because when these first came out, there was a little bit of an issue with power, with people just running the one cable and having 2 connectors on the end. Now in terms of I/O ports, let's have a look. Here we go. So we've got 2 DisplayPort, 2 HDMI, and 1 USB-C. Now the USB-C is used for VR goggles. Now there is one other little thing on here. There's a tiny little switch just there which you can use to toggle between quiet mode and performance mode. I'll be quite keen to get that tested, and I'll let you guys know the results once I've done that. But I'll probably just leave it in performance mode anyway, as noise really doesn't bother me that much. Plus cards these days aren't really that noisy anyway. Now the last thing I want to talk about is this cable right here. Now the connector's white and the cable is all multicolored. Now the white connector we could probably get away with, as there's a bit of a white edge on the PCB itself there. Now as for the cable though, that's all horrible and multicolored. It just doesn't fit in with the rest of the card, which is nice and black and sleek. They could have just put the shielding right up to the connector itself, or maybe use black cable. I'm sure it wouldn't have added too much to the cost. Now back to my ugly mug. Alright guys, as usual I've got the full specifications of my build in the description below, along with 2 links. One will be to the ASUS website where you can have a look at the full specifications of this card. The other one will be my Amazon affiliate link. If you are looking at buying this card, please do consider using my link, as that will help me out greatly. I just want to say thanks a lot for your patience guys. This video took me far too long to make. Hopefully I don't run into any more issues with my gear and I can do them a bit more regular. Now if you guys like this video, please hit that like button. Also if you disliked it, hit the dislike button. And subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more of my ugly mug. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Now the GPU that I've decided to go with is the something. So hot. That's across the board. With a and then the overclocked edition and the overclocked. It won't. 650 watts is just the recommended power supply that the manufacturer recommends. It's the recommended power supply that the manufacturer recommends. Run it along the thing just to pretend that I'm cutting it. And, oh, fucking battery, mother, gentleman. Fuck you, battery. Why you die? Now in terms of powers, what the fuck? It's got superpowers.